Perfect. And now I'll share my screen again. All right, perfect. Sorry about that. All right, so let's dive into what the competitions are about before you learn about how to prepare your students for success in them. Certiport has been hosting the Microsoft Office Specialist competitions for 22 years, and they're endorsed by Microsoft. We work really closely with them to help kick them off and to market them, and they're wonderful partners in this. And while we hold the competitions here in the US, there are actually competitions being held all over the world, which I think is really cool. And it's kind of unifying for students as well. And every year there's a world championship that is held in the US, which is great, but we'll get to those details a little bit later. But the first place winners at the US National Championship here get all expenses paid invitation to compete at the World Championship, which is a pretty big deal. And along with that amazing invitation, students also have the opportunity to win scholarships, prizes, some pretty cool prizes too, things like Xboxes and laptops, really cool headphones, things like that. Trophies, medals, and of course the title of the Microsoft Office Specialist U.S. National Champion, which looks amazing on resumes. It really opens up so many doors for the students. I've heard several stories of students walking through the airport with their big checks after the student competitions, and they're offered jobs, or several of students have reported back that it was amazing to be able to put on their resume that they were a competitor at the U.S. National Championship. And that really helps them stand out. So it's a great opportunity to give your students additional recognition while you're inspiring them to be certified. To compete in the competition, students must be between the ages of 13 and 22 years old, and they have to earn at least a passing score on the following MOS exams. It's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, in versions in Office 2019 and in Microsoft 365 apps. And that's what they must do in order to enter their scores into the competition. But in order to receive an invitation to the U.S. National Championship, students must be ranked in first place in their state for their given exam by the end of a qualification period. So you can imagine it gets a little bit competitive. I think especially in Washington too, where Karen lives, it's extremely competitive. But it's incredible to see students push themselves and really get excited about certification and get excited about meeting others who might be passionate about the same things as them at the U.S. National Championship. And it's really just a great way to open doors for students. If your students are currently taking the MOS exams and they're interested in the competitions, I recommend that they definitely check out the rankings on the competition website. If you go to us.moschampionship.com, and then at the top, if you just click rankings, you can see the weekly rankings, so you can see where your students are placing there. And with that being said, I think it's important. I think the most important thing here today is to learn from a veteran teacher on really how to train a champion, because these competitions, they're really such phenomenal opportunities for students. But I understand that it definitely can be a challenge to help train the champion. So thrilled to have Karen here. A little bit of background on Karen. Karen teaches both computer applications and computer sciences to high school freshmen in Lake Stevens, Washington. She is a proud robotics advisor for the largest VRC robotics team in the state. Karen strongly believes that career and technical education must be relevant, interesting, and focused on giving students the skills and habits they will need to succeed in the workplace. Before becoming a teacher, Karen worked for more than a decade as a licensed avionics technician and airframe and power plant mechanic for the U.S. Air Force, Dynacorp Aerospace, and the Boeing Company, which is pretty incredible. She was also selected for special assignments involving Air Force One and the B-2 stealth bomber. Throughout her career, Karen has been a passionate believer in continuing education. She has participated in the U.S. Naval Academy's Set Sail, Certiport's Educator Conference, STEM Guitars, Space Camp for Educators, the Washington Alliance for Better Schools, STEM Externship, and multiple nanotechnology conferences. And she's also attended the Microsoft Office Specialist U.S. National Championships and brought several students, which is absolutely incredible. Karen serves as the teacher serves on the teacher advisory board for the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle, and as a member of 2 technical advisory committees. In 2023, Karen was named the Certified Educator of the Year, and she also received the William Dahlgren Teacher of Excellence. So we are among really, truly one of the grades. Thrilled to welcome Karen Coulombe. So thank you again for joining us today, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here. So, and that was, what a great introduction. Boy, it's going to be hard to live up to all of that. So I'm not sure if, how you're listening, if you're listening live or if you're listening at 1 o'clock in the morning and you just need to find something new for your classroom. Well, however you're listening today or watching us, I'm excited that you're here and that you're going to learn more about this, because it's exactly what you need. Trust us. So I'll let you kick us off. I'm not sure how you want to get this rolling.
Yes, no, absolutely. Well, I do have a couple of questions for you. The first one is, why did you first get involved in certification, and what certifications do you teach? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So when I first came to Lake Stevens, I actually changed what I was teaching. I was teaching electronics and computer repair and basic programming. And when I came over here, I started teaching computer applications. I always want to make it relevant and important to getting kids jobs. So the first stop before I even saw my classroom was the local junior college. I went and saw the similar class to mine, but at the junior college, so that I could make sure I could articulate and get college credit. So I had a meeting set up with them. I saw what they did and they certified. So right out of the gate, I have to certify because I am aligning to be like them. So as soon as I stepped in, I told my boss that we'd be certifying, and he's like, okay. So I didn't even know what it was. And I just knew I had to do it. And it was funny because I got to show you guys this. This is so funny. It sits on my desk. I show kids my discs whenever I'm like, okay, kids, save. And they're like, what is that? How did you get the old timey save button? I'm like, it's not really a button. This, if you guys can see this, this was my grade sheet from Excel. So back in 2001, I used to make, before they had online grades, I had to put all my grades in Excel, and I had categories, and I would print progress reports because I was an Excel whiz, right? I thought. So this was and they go, can we read them? I'm like, sure, let's go to Blockbuster. So anyway, I thought I was really good at this. So I got my very first certification going, and I'm like, cute little certifications. I'm going to be great at this. I sat down and got a 232. And I was like, whoa, those are hard. And that's when I realized this is hard. This is not a cute little kid test. This is a real industry exam, and people need to prepare for it, and they need to know what's on it, and they need to understand what it's about, and employers appreciate it. And I understand why they appreciate it. So I think it's a really valuable test, and I'm glad we got into it. I think it lends a lot of value to my program, because now my program's not just this place where kids learn to type. They don't. Yeah. They actually are learning real skills.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And those skills, I love how your focus is to give kids relevant jobs for them. I mean, relevant skills for them to get jobs. And I love how you're like, certification is the pathway to that. That really does communicate to employers. It's more than just saying, I took a class and I know how to use Excel. It's saying, not only did I take a class, but several professional entities have certified that I am an expert in this. I know what I'm doing. So I love that. I really love that.
Sorry, they're making announcements at my school. I will tell you, and I know that there's teachers and administrators probably listening to this recording, but I will tell you, whenever I make time in my schedule and in the kids' schedule to plan for something, I think, why am I doing it? Is it important? I mean, because I don't just do things to jump through a hoop. Every time I do something, I begin with the end in mind. And the end is I'm creating a tool bag, and we're loading that tool bag with tools to give the kids an edge when they leave high school so that they can transition into the workplace smoothly and successfully and be promotable and feel confident. And I think this is one big piece of that puzzle.
Yes.
So,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So many facets that go into that, but it changes lives. It does.
for
So
sure.
that's amazing that you're giving them that tool belt to stack all the things and all the skills. How did you get started with the competitions? Like, where were you like, oh, that's what I need to do? And where's your program at now with it?
So I knew we needed to certify because it was one of those things that we just needed to do. I had no idea about the competition, and we're just rocking along doing our certifications, and I get an email and I'm like, what is this email? And I'm reading it going, I don't quite understand the email. And my student comes up and goes, I don't understand this email. And we read it together and we're like, you qualified for what? What is this? So I call Hannah Davis. And I'm like, what is this? And she explained to me what the competition is. I don't even know if they had a website then. They might have, but I don't even know if they did. And I went, oh, this is cool. Can I go? So I asked my boss if I can go. And he's like, wasn't sure. He definitely didn't pay for the student. So they paid for me. They definitely didn't pay for the student. His parents paid. We went. We thought he was going to, because he was amazing. In fact, the newspaper came. They did a big article on him. We
Oh, I
thought he
love
was
that.
going to. We just thought he was going to come in with a cape, like little Superman Junior, and just take over the competition. Wow, that didn't happen. It was great. It was actually exactly what we needed. He went in. He took all 50 minutes, and he came out with all blood drained from his face.
It's hard. It's not a walk in the park.
Well, and it was great because that one thing was the first time that kid had ever had anything difficult. And he even said, I've never had anything difficult until this. So he came back with a lot of information that I've shared with other kids. So now we know how to approach it. And I'm about to share it with you. So lucky you.
Oh, yes.
And that student went on to say, doing that actually helped him with his SATs, with his ACTs. He's gone on to apprenticeships and trades. So when he takes his trades tests, he approaches it all the same way. So all the high stakes tests are approached in the same way, and I love it. It's so that one big aha moment, that was Certiport for him. But the good news is that now we have discovered how to get the districts to pay for travel for the students and for me. So we've come a long way, baby.
Yes, that's actually major. And I know it's kind of off. Well, I guess my question is, what's your secret? Because I know that I receive a lot of emails from teachers like, this is incredible, but how do I go about funding? So what's your secret with that?
So it really has to be an extended learning opportunity from the classroom. So because it's part of the class, like what we do, we actually develop basically a leadership opportunity that's available to everyone. They come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays after school and test. So think of like how FCCLA or DECA would come in. So they come in and test. It is an extended day like DECA or a career and technical student opportunity, just like everything else.
Yeah.
So because of that, because it's part of their curriculum, intracurricular instead of extracurricular, it is paid by, I mean, it's legally paid. So, and I'll walk you through some of those fine points later because I don't want to take up all our time on that, but I can help you with some details. And as an ambassador.
Yes, our new certified ambassador.
I am. So as an ambassador, there's a few little pieces to that puzzle that I'm happy to sort of lay out for everybody sooner rather than later. So maybe you can get paid too.
Yes. Oh, that's brilliant. I know that that's definitely something that a lot of teachers run into. I mean, some districts are like, yeah, we'll pay. But yes.
Yep,
Oh, yes. So tune into that one.
Yep.
Probably in December after we announce the winner. So that is amazing information. That's really, really helpful, I know, for a lot of educators and students too. But where's your competition program at now? So you started and your student went, and it was one of the first difficult things that they had to do that prepared them
was
for all
difficult
these
for
other,
me too, because I'm used to winning everything. And I went in with my poor little guy, super junior. And we walked out like, this was hard.
yes.
So we left, and the next year he came back with a different platform, a different category, and we brought two more kids. But we prepared. So I called a local person, Kathy Schmidt, and she now works for Certiport. She works for
CCI, yeah.
CCI Learning, which is affiliated with Certiport. She's amazing. And she connected me with one of her students, Ashley. And Ashley actually, I have something for you. Ashley actually has a video. Let me find it. I'm going to drop it in the chat for everybody. Back when Ashley was a senior in high school, she did a Google Meet with us, and we were so dumb. It was before the pandemic. We're like, how do you get this Meet thing to work? Like, nobody knows how to work one of these thingies. So we did get it to work, and she actually walked us through, gave us a lot of good advice. We used it, and we placed that year, so that was good. But then we wanted more, right?
Yeah.
So we went back again, and the same kid, it was his third year. We bring him back, and he's pretty confident now. And we go in, and he walks. I just love this story. He walks into his test. 50 minutes. You really should take the full 50 minutes, really. Yeah. He walks in, and I'm talking to his dad, and I turn around, and he's standing there. I'm like, what are you doing here? Did they cancel the test? And he goes, I'm done. I look at my watch. I'm like, 12 minutes? Are you stupid? And he goes, no, I'm done. I'm like, hope you got first. And he's like, So he got second. And I looked at him and said, if you had gone a little longer, maybe you would have gotten first. And he goes, honestly, I did everything I knew how to do. And that guy that won first, he totally deserved it because he knew more than me. So I could have been there 100 more minutes. I wasn't going to be able to do anything else. I went, oh, I love it. He goes, he totally deserved it. And congratulations to him. So I thought that was really an adult thing. And that's what the competition breeds, is this gracious professionalism, this, very self-aware. I mean, how many kids at 17 are that self-aware? Because it wasn't even like snidely whiplash. He was sincere. I congratulate him. He knew more than me. And he actually did. He went over, had ice cream with him, chatted, and shook his hand, was like, oh, dude, that's a cool trophy. So
oh, I love that. I love that. And I really do love the camaraderie that is at the competitions. Just to go along with that, it's really cool to see students respect one another and seek to maybe get to know each other a little bit better and network that way. So that's really cool.
Yep, for sure.
I love that. How do you help your students earn invitations to compete at the competitions?
Oh, I love this question. So I want you to think about something for a minute. It's all timing. Teachers, listen closely. It's all timing. You're their coach. Imagine you're sitting there trying to coach them up a big hill. Do you start coaching them before they're tired? No, you got to get them right at the right time. It's really all about timing. So maybe they've passed their first word test. You've had some success. They're doing okay. Maybe some of them have passed PowerPoint. They're doing okay. Here's what you do. You want to, there's a video. I'm going to drop this link for you in the chat. Control C, and I'm going to show it in the chat. I want to put it in here. I love this video. I cry every time, and I'm not a crier. It's a wonderful video. I'm going to cry just thinking about it. It follows a bunch of kids on their journey. And what I have the kids do is watch this. And hold on. The reason it's sad is one of the dads died. Oh, I gave away the ending. So at the very end, they tell you one of the dads passes away. Okay, so in this, it's 28 minutes long. It's perfect for the classroom. So I tell the kids when they start, watch really carefully. You're looking for a few things. And I even write it up on the board. Who do you identify, and in what way? Who do you identify with? Because there's definitely characters in there that are quite different. And then We do professionalism skills, and we work on them a lot because I call them promotable skills. I said, right now employers will hire anybody, but are you promotable? So we really work on this myriad of professional skills. So I have them have their professional skills out, and what kind of professional skills are these competitors really embracing? Right. And they need to explain it. So they're jotting stuff down. Then they sit in small groups and talk about what sort of professional skills did those kids have to have. And that sort of fills a whole bill of something else anyway. Then we talk about, after they see this video, we talk about Hoop Fest. In Washington State, we have something, and it usually starts, it's a basketball thing, and it used to start with this free throw competition. If you guys have seen a free throw, does a person who does a perfect free throw know how to play basketball? Maybe, maybe not. Can they do a perfect free throw? Yes. So what you want to do is you want to tell them you need a perfect word score. Perfect. So you print out the objectives. You go out to Certiport. You figure out what those objectives are. You print out the objectives and you know what they are. You go, if you can afford geometrics, you go to geometrics. You take the tests, the training, and then the tests, and you see which areas you're lacking in. You take the objectives that are aligned to that, and you see which areas you need help in. And you map that, you sit down, maybe figure out what are those areas. And you ask your teacher, can you create some training for me? And yeah, I will. I have projects in here. There's a lot of projects straight from the book. There's also projects that I can create based on that. There's also things in geometrics. You can go in, if you're not sure how geometrics works, your people will help you out. You can make specified exams. So if the kid is just needing help in references, you can create a special exam just in references. Really work those. But let's say you can't afford that because you're like, that's cute and all. My school doesn't have the money for that. There is a guy, I'm going to put this in the chat too. You're like, aren't you the tech teacher? You're slow with this chat. It's been a while since I've had to do all this. This guy, oh, I spelt his name wrong. He's going to kill me. Hold on. Let me go back and spell it right. He is fantastic. Brendan Sinclair. He has a ton of YouTube videos, and I'm going to tell you what he's done. So in a minute, I think I'm going to share my screen if I can. Otherwise, I might have you share yours.
Absolutely.
Let me go YouTube. Brendan. What I love about Brendan is that kids can now choose. How am I going to learn today? So maybe they don't like, some of the kids do not like geometrics. They just don't. It's too much for them. And they just want to sit and watch a video, particularly when they get to Excel. So here's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to share my screen. I'm not sure. Are you seeing it?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay, so he has this whole setup, and I just have the kids come in, and if you type in, say, Word 2019, and it's all arranged by sections or domains, right? Oh, I did 16. Sorry, I must be upside down dyslexic. There we go. There we go. So first he starts with tips. You can actually make these like sub-day assignments or assignments where they do a video worksheet while you grade. It's very nice, keeps them nice and quiet. They can even do it on a Chromebook, which I love because then you can get busy on something else. Some people like to make ed puzzles out of these. If you know what an ed puzzle is, sort of forces them to watch and stops and asks them a question. I don't like those. I find they're kind of annoying. I just make a video worksheet out of these. So if you look, let's say your student is really struggling with the section called Insert and Format Graphic Elements. He will walk you through all of it. So what I have them do is I have a notes page and it's set up. They create notes for themselves on that page. Then they go back and take another geometrics random test and see how they've passed. Did they improve their score? When you can hit 100 in geometrics on a practice test, say 3 times, you can get 100 3 times, then maybe it's time to take a test. So, because you're going to want to be at the very top of your game. But there is one more little nugget. I'm going to give it to you. I wasn't going to share it, but are you guys ready? So it seems so simple, so super simple. How many of you do this? I don't know if you do it or not. Do you guys ever have them just, let me see if I can do it for you. You just go to Word. Let's see if I can get my little Word to open up here. Honestly, yeah. And we just open Word and have them go through the entire, I'm going to move all this off. Let's see if I can move some of this off. I can't. There. I have them go through every tab. Sometimes I have them pull out their notes. Sometimes I have them make smaller notes, and we make like half sheets and we put them all over the walls so other people can learn from you. And you will say, okay, the design tab is in light blue, so all the light blue half sheets are from the design tab. The layout tab is in yellow. The references tab is in pink, right? So you can just go look at the walls and figure out what's in those tabs. Because if you look at the references and you know what's in it, that's going to shave some time off, isn't it? So if you have time, you have 5 minutes at the end of the period. Should you be packing up and going? Or should you be going through, looking what's in here? Oh, I wonder what this does. I should probably bounce it down and take a look and open it up. You should know what every single thing on your ribbon does. And you should open this up and be able to know what every single thing in here does. If you do not know what every single thing in here does, you are not ready to compete. And you need to know, how would somebody use this? Even if you as a teacher aren't sure, ask somebody. Like one kid said, how would somebody even use a tag? I said, so maybe I'm expense reporting. I literally just came back from Puerto Rico. Can you believe it was a student trip? Anyway, Puerto Rico. So you put in a tag and you go PR23. Maybe that's my tag. And I put it in all my documents surrounding that trip. I can pull up everything. Maybe that's my proposal, my expense report, that's everything. And I don't have to, maybe I wasn't really good at putting it in folders and files, but I can search for it using the tag. So it's very helpful, but they didn't know how to do it. Here's one of my favorites. If you look in here, I show them how to do it. Somebody gave you a document and it has their name on it, and they have locked themselves as the author, but you want to modify it and make it your own. I've done it. You can unlock it and get them off and make it your own. So that's always a challenge. I always make them do it. I go, okay, I've locked myself in. Who can get me off? You get a candy bar. So find some of those where it could be a real life situation, right? And that's what's going to prepare them. Also ask people at your school if they have any projects. Real life projects get kids thinking real life. And that's, if you've never been to the Certiport competition, they try to emulate real life. So it's going to be like critical thinking, where they give you, say, something that you would see on a job. So my kids have done the band, I forget what that's called, the whole program. And they've done the band PowerPoint that plays during a production. They have done the Excel, all the different choices for the union for the police officer that's here at our school. So they've gone through and done that. They've helped the basketball coaches with their stats for their team. So they know how to use the products, and that's important.
That's so brilliant, because I mean, to your point, when they're at the competition and in real life, right? The competition is really just a stepping stone to the rest of their professional career to help them have those tools in their toolkit. But I love how you help them have real world experiences. I think that is so important, because it shows them how these things that they're learning is actually applicable. And I love that you also have them spend time in the app. I feel like that's a major thing to help students prepare not only for the certification exam, but also for the competitions. Because to your point, it's project-based in that competition exam. And students really have to have a great understanding where everything is. And if they can think of where something is, I don't know, even 10 seconds faster than another student, it does give them the edge.
And I'll be honest, if you're out there listening and you've never been, it's really never going to be, it's probably never going to be about the time. It's almost always going to be about the one more thing you can do. Because those
Yes, that's
kids
true.
on a high stake test, even the coolest cucumber you have is going to be anxious. So they're going to get in there. So any muscle memory they have with that program, you have done them a huge favor. So
Yes.
help them remember to save all the time. One thing that is really good if you can have them do is have them write out how to get to something. Oh, go to the
That's
design
brilliant.
tab, open the, colors group, choose the red and, do the whatever, have them go through and write it out because sometimes they forget the terminology and sometimes the tests use some terminology that maybe they haven't made themselves familiar with because they're kids and sometimes kids forget to be really well versed with terminology.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love that idea too. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So say your students, well, what do you do to help your students earn that invitation? So that's what you do to prepare them for the exam. But when it comes to earning the invitation, well, I guess you kind of talked about it, right? How you have after school program or club kind of to help the students actively prepare and take the exam. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the kids, in fact, I'm kind of surprised they're not here. I had to hang something on the door because today's Thursday. I thought they would all be in. I already have kids in here testing. Um, so what they all end up doing is coming in, and first it turns kind of friendly, and then it gets a little unfriendly because sometimes they're going for the same, you
Same
know.
thing.
And
Yeah.
one thing you have to remember is that not all kids, not all students have the same goal in mind, right? Some kids are eaten up by competition. They want to leave the state and they want to go and compete at the highest level. And other kids, they just want a place to go on Tuesday and Thursday and take a test. And you need to appreciate that. And as their coach, you should not want more for them than what they want for themselves. So if they just want to be number 6 in the state, we need to pop popcorn, celebrate, jump up and down and tell them they're awesome instead of saying you could have been number 1. Who cares? They 6 is fantastic. There's 170 participating schools. You should be very, very proud of yourself. You should put it on your cover letter, talk about it in a resume. I'd put it on my LinkedIn. And you can talk about it for years to come. You don't have to go to the competition to be able to be amazing and have something awesome to put on your resume and LinkedIn. You do have to show that you stepped up your game more than others around you and have something to talk about in that way. Yeah, I came in on Tuesdays and Thursdays and this is what I did. And what did it get for me? It got me 6th in the state, which is great. I think that's just as good as first, if that's that student's goal.
I really love that because it goes back to one of your goals that you mentioned is you want them not to just get a job, but to be promotable. And I feel like that's still, like you said, it's something that's worthy to be proud of. And employers notice that too. Being 6th in a state is a massive accomplishment. It still took a lot of hard work, and that student is still very well versed in the platform. So I really love that to really
And many,
appreciate.
many of our students have a lot of balls in the air. What I mean by that is, one of my students has an internship coming at Boeing. So they're like, I think I can't even go to the competition because I wouldn't be able to do that because I'm going to be working this internship. And, some other ones have to watch their little siblings. So it's going to mess up the whole parent thing. The parents won't know what to do. We don't want to make the families feel bad because the
Yes,
student has responsibilities at home.
yes.
So if their goal is to do what they can do where they're at now, we also want to support that.
Yes, I really appreciate that as well. I totally agree. And I mean, that's pretty incredible too, being a freshman in high school and having a fabulous opportunity like that. That's incredible. That's really incredible. Say for the students who do end up wanting to go to the US National Championship, everything falls in line for them. What what can you tell us a bit about like what their experience was like there, what your experience was like? I know that often for you, you're in two worlds at the same time, right? Because at the same time we have our certified educators conference, which you presented at even this past year. But what has your experience been like, and what have your students' experiences been like?
So because I'm a robotics coach and I've gone to the world competitions and some high level competitions with them. I have a little eagle's eye view of what I want the students to take away from these
Oh,
competitions.
yeah.
And what I want them to take away from a competition like this is seeing it for what it is. Like, you have people represented from the country.
Yeah.
You should be out there talking to them. What's it like in your state? What's your school like? What was it like to get here? What's your favorite thing about your school? What did you notice about being here in Orlando or Dallas or wherever we are? Do you want to come with us? We're going to go across the street and get a sandwich. And yeah, let's talk. Like, our kids are friends with all those kids still, and they're so excited that they are friends. So I said, second to that, we're not going to practice anymore. When we get to the competition, I said, it's kind of like a football player. If you are going to the state competition and you have to start learning how to play football, it's probably the wrong time. So you can still stretch a little,
Yes.
but if you're seriously learning how to play football at the state, at the Super Bowl, it's probably the wrong time to learn how to play football. What you should be doing there is like taking it in, right? So when the kids went there, first thing I did this year, it was really exciting. You guys had some good swag this year.
Yes.
So this is the first time I saw that. It was really good. I walked down and went, So I grabbed, and by the way, I put them all on like Slack and or Remind or something. And I went, great swag. Get down here now and get sweatshirts stat. So everybody has a sweatshirt, a hoodie from you guys, and a cup, and they were super excited about it. And they did the dance parties and they went swimming. They made friends from the other states that maybe there was only one kid from the state, and that kid just lobbed on with us and went everywhere we went, and it was great. So I did enjoy that quite a bit. For me personally, what I liked the best out of being there, the first competition I went to, I was just excited to be there. And it was Orlando was the first one for me. I was at that beautiful hotel, which is on beautiful property, by the way. It's so homey and wonderful. And I'm walking around sort of in a daze because I don't know what I'm doing. And in walks this cute little boy and his mom. And I know why they're there. You can see them, and they're looking around. And the teacher, we're teachers. Teachers can't help themselves. Excuse me, are you here for the Certiport? It's just how we run. Excuse me, are you a competitor? And the kid's like, and I'm like, let me help you. And I grab him and I like take him over to where he needs to go. And he's really out of his element. And he's like, and I'm talking to him and his mom, and they were from Arkansas that year. The kid had never been out of his state. His mom hadn't been out of the state in like 20 years. She said she was out one time. This was the first time this student had ever left the state. And he was quite out of his element. And you could tell he was a bit overwhelmed. And I said, oh, well, aren't you lucky? Disney's right across the street. And he goes, and that's when it hit me how lucky we are. He goes, our church raised money for me to come. Oh. So he's like, is it free? I'm like, no. Disney is not free. I'm like, Disney Springs is. We should go across the street. You can come with us. So we took them and showed them all the cool stuff. But it was fun.
That's one of my favorite parts of the competition too, is for these students to have opportunities, because it's true, there's so many of them who this is their first time coming out of this state. This is their first time being at an event like this. And it's just so cool to watch them be celebrated and to explore, because these kids are brilliant. They work so hard, and it's I just love that it provides an additional opportunity for them to put in their toolkit.
For sure.
So I love that. I really love that. I love stories like that about students too. As you were sharing, I was thinking of other students who I've met who've had similar experiences. So that's amazing. And I really love the advice that you also give to your own students, that they should network and get to know other kids, get to know what life is like in a different state outside of Washington, but then also just to take it in and to have fun. To your point, it's probably not the time to learn how to use Excel or PowerPoint or Word. But it is the time just to relax and allow yourself to be celebrated and to like be proud of yourself for what you've accomplished. So
be present in the moment, because The first time we went, my super student, he just sat on his computer. It was not, and it didn't help him at all. Just so you know, it really didn't help him at all. But we learned, and what we learned is to be present in the moment and enjoy all the things that come with being a champion and being there, and just really enjoying being there. And I actually always tell my students about the kid from Arkansas, so they are always looking for another kid from Arkansas, and they want to make friends with them, and they're like, do you want to come, let's go to the pool. And my mom made cookies and brought them from Washington. They're shaped like the Space Needle. Do you want one? So, I mean, they're just nice kids. We always bring some nice kids.
Oh, I love that. I hope they met the girl from Arkansas this past year. Her name is Joy, and she won first place. And I think she's the only one from Arkansas. So hopefully they got to meet.
I love it. I love it.
That's amazing. The next question is, how have certification and or the competitions helped your students achieve their career and educational goals? So they have this experience, but where has it led them to?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about that without taking up too much time. So I'm going to start with two things. If you are watching this, you might be like, those ladies are a little over the top. They act like certification is going to be like curing climate change. Because you know how we're like, oh my gosh. But here's the deal. It's not that certifications does everything. It's that there is a hidden curriculum to it. There's a hidden agenda. So there is the regular agenda. Yay, I got certified. But what's behind that certification? So there's more behind it than in front of it. So post-COVID, let's face it, folks, our kids have changed. My students today, I mean, we literally just celebrated that everybody wrote a complete sentence on their warm-up. That was the first time. Most of them have AP English and they weren't writing in complete sentences. So the fact that these certifications force them to read for content and detail and slow down and really process things that no other class is forcing them to process, is helping them in ways that I tell them, I'm going to need to fly on an airplane and we're going to need somebody that makes airplanes. I'm going to need a hip. We're going to need somebody that can actually read for detail. So it's not just about learning Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. It's about we're making people that can read for detail, that can understand content, and that see it in themselves. I had a boy in here who said, not very good at anything. And, computers are easy. So it doesn't really matter that I have 2 certifications already. And I looked at him and went, Trevor, like nobody has 2 certifications already. And you're amazing. You got a 940 on PowerPoint today. His first whack at the apple, he didn't even study. And I'm like, you are amazing, Trevor. And he said, I don't think so. It's just computers. And I went, first of all, you read everything. Like this is a skill and you're not giving yourself credit for all this detail. You need to think about that when we talk about jobs. Like, what job needs me to bring this data, process it, understand it, and make it significant, because you're doing it and 95% of the people in the world can't do it. So yay you. And he thought, oh, I never thought about it like that. I guess I do have a mad skill. So he does. And here's the deal, is that we're developing those skills that were sort of pushed to the wayside. So that's the reason I get excited. It's not just about that. It's about all the stuff that certification brings. The confidence. I had a girl that just re-entered. She'd been out for quite a long time, homeless, etc. Now she's coming in, and school is not easy, but she can do this because she can take her Chromebook home and study and do some things on her Chromebook with a simulation program I have, watch the videos. And she did password. So she was like in tears. That's why you want to do it. It's not really that this is going to change your life. It's just one success. She now has a success. That's going to lead to another success, another success. What other class can say they do that? And it's a meaningful success. It's not one that is fake. You know what I mean? Like a fake success. It's a really good, valuable success that they can build on. And that's why they're excited about it. And I totally forgot your question. Sorry. What was your question?
Oh no, that was amazing. And I'd like stirred up a little bit. And I I love that how success continues to lead to success, but they just need to feel empowered and know that they are successful, know that what they have is amazing and that it's not just whatever, it's something that can lead them somewhere. And I
These are
guess
they're foundational.
yes,
They're
yeah,
foundational. And some of the ways they've used them, so they are good. They're not the end all, but they're
yes.
foundational. And it really comes at a time in high school, particularly great in college too now, because post-COVID, but if you leverage them, I have a girl that went to George Washington University. They did not take one AP credit from her. They said, nope, we don't do that. They saw those certifications. They gave her credit for every single one. So her dad called me and said, okay, we just racked up $5,000 worth of tuition thanks to Mrs. Coulombe's certification program. Thank you very much. And I went, I like Starbucks. So, but I will say, they're not alone in telling me this is moving them along. One of my fellow teachers, they bounce in from time to time, and I help teachers get their certifications. And they got this Microsoft certified educator one, and they're getting their master's degree. And they said, oh my gosh, Karen, I did this online master's, and they gave me 12 credits for that one certificate. 12. And they went, that was nice. That was a good one. I said it was, wasn't it? You're welcome. I like Starbucks.
Yes. Oh,
So
that's an amazing certification too. And it's really, really affordable too. And it's a one that all
so
educators should definitely get.
it
Yeah.
is. And then all your colleagues love you and you have
Yes.
lots of Starbucks cards. That's great.
Yes. Yes. No, that's
Lots of
wonderful.
reasons. Lots.
What was
And
that?
then college credit too. If you leverage yourself, if you're in a state that offers dual credit, you can leverage yourself in a way where you can get dual credit for it. If you're not at a place that allows you to get dual credit, just to have the kids, like I have somebody come in from the college, Washington State University, and from a JC, a junior college, and say, when you talk to a counselor, don't just come in through the internet. When you talk to a counselor, bring the certifications with you. Show us Certiport website, and we will actually look you up and we will get you the most credit we can possibly get you. So, yeah.
Wow, yeah, that is amazing. And I think it's definitely something that a lot of students and sometimes teachers overlook too. If it's not credit through that individual university, there's also ACE accreditation. That I mean, individual schools can then take it and then give students credit for, which is amazing. It's two for one.
Sure.
Two for one for sure. And I think that does definitely help answer the question about how it helps lead students to their educational goals. So that's amazing. With about 10 minutes left, I have one final question and then we can open it up to the chat if there are any questions. But my final question is, what advice would you give to your fellow educators looking to involve their students in the MOS Championships?
I think it's great. And the reason I think that I would recommend it, there's a few things. One is, if I'm going to spend my time on something, it needs to be valuable. If it's not a value add, why am I wasting my time and the kids' time on it? That's really important to me. In 10 years, when you look back, for me, think about your classes, right? In 10 years, when you look back at your class, or 50 or something, for me, I'm pretty old. Mrs. Ong was the best teacher I had because she was my 8th grade English teacher. Still, I can write a mad email thanks to Mrs. Ong. She did a great job. So I have kids. I have a 38-year-old man that comes back and talks to people every year. I have a 35-year-old person that comes back and talks every year, et cetera. It goes all the way down the line. These people are all telling us the same thing. Thank you for doing this. This matters. All of this matters. My students come back and talk to all of these and help them tutor. They think it matters when they're out in industry and they're coming back to say thanks, tell the kids it matters, tell them to listen. It speaks for itself. On top of that, if you need a measurable thing to show your administrators something measurable of the value of your program, what I like to do is I do like to get the college credit. And then I look at how much tuition we saved. And generally we save over $100,000 in tuition a year.
Amazing.
So then I just go, oh, look how much money my students saved, just me alone. I
That's
like Starbucks.
incredible.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're gonna have a big stack of Starbucks gift cards here pretty soon. That is really good advice, though. Really good advice. And I love how you show people how it's making a real life difference too, not just like in terms of careers, but it's saving them money in college and it's helping them feel successful. It's meaningful. So I really love that advice. I really love that. Thank you so much. I was like taking notes. I was learning a lot from you as we were going through it. So I really appreciate your time and your commitment to excellence and your commitment to students. Can tell that you really are passionate about your students and helping them be successful as individuals. So thank you. I think we can open up the Q&A or the chat. If anybody has any questions, feel free to pop them in. And after this call too, I am happy to send out, we'll send out an email with this recording, and I can also send out all of the links too. You shared out some pretty great links for the MOS documentary, The Journey, which is amazing. And I also like that you included the questions too. So we can include the questions and we can include Brendan Sinclair's tools as well and anything else. Would it be okay if people reached out to you if they have any questions after this call? Okay, excellent.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So I can include that contact too. Oh, perfect. Yes, yes. And then Ashley Masters story there too. So yeah, that's perfect. I can include that as well. Well, there are no questions. Thank you again for your time, Karen. You have been phenomenal. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you guys at Certified and at the MOS competitions this year. So thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.